questions that we have here really quick before we go on to some topics. I do want to talk to you about the Ben Simmons. And
Did you?
I know my boy Pete's gonna roll his eyes right now about that one, but we got to
Do
talk
you,
about it.
okay. Yeah. Do you also want to get into the Bulls and the Lonzo Ball and who else was it? Lonzo Ball and Kyle Lowry thing going on with executives might be getting suspended and up to $10 million fines.
Ooh,
Did you see that?
I did not see that. I need to check that out. Where'd you get
Yeah,
that news at?
it was on ESPN, I think. Executives are facing suspensions and possible draft picks being taken away and up to $10 million of fines of each.
Ah, here we go. Found it.
Yeah.
All right, let's we'll get into that in just a second, but I do want to answer some
Mhm.
subscriber questions before we get going into this topic. Let's talk about this first, and then we'll talk about the Ben Simmons thing because I feel like this is a little bit more newsworthy. So Sean, you said, what do you think of Chet Holmgren's stat line in the season opener? I'm very curious to see Chet Holmgren against Texas tomorrow. I'll be watching that game closely. Like I said, I might be streaming Saturday or Sunday, but I think I want to stream Sunday and kind of get a good night's rest and kind of talk about the Boston Celtics. Or sorry, not Celtics. They're on my mind just for how frustrating they are. But talk about Chet Holmgren and his night against Texas because I'll be very curious to see how he plays against them. My boy Pete, you said, would you still take Cade over Mobley? I think Cade's got a presence to him. Again, I think it's all these questions all have to do with the what's going on with their team currently, right? I think when I look at a team, like I think Mobley's in the right situation with Cleveland, even though they're running some big lineup meta that I've never seen before in the NBA. But I think I would have to see them in like different teams. Obviously, that makes sense, right? You put Cade on another team. I will say that Mobley is more versatile than Cade. As much as I think Cade can play off ball, I think that Mobley can play basically 3 through 5. Like he can play like any of those positions just with how versatile he is, just with how quick and how long he is at his size to run at that speed that he does. I makes him so versatile. I definitely misread Mobley, and I thought he was going to be. I think he kind of is like a Jaren Jackson Jr., but Jaren Jackson Jr. to me is a little bit more injury prone. And Mobley has yet to show that. So, if Mobley can play like with JJJ with a higher upside to him, I do think that Mobley could potentially be better than Cade. But I still think I have Cade just with the fact that I always trust ball handlers and point guards more than bigs and how like the importance of them in the game. I understand bigs make it a lot easier. But I do like Cade. But again, it is starting to not be like this sort of one-sided, like the Pistons obviously won and the Cavs lost. Like it's not looking like that at all. I don't know what you think, Tyrese.
Cade, I seen one game of Cade. He looked pretty fluid. I mean, he has some bounce. I mean, he has some he's a decent young player. And you said who else? Sorry, I was watching
Cade
the game.
Cunningham.
Cade Cunningham.
I know he had his struggles at
Oh
the
yeah,
beginning.
Cade. That's what I was talking about. Yeah, Cade. Cade. He looked pretty solid. You said who else was it though? It was another guy.
Mobley.
Mobley. I haven't really seen Mobley. But Cade looks pretty decent from the couple games or highlights I've seen of him.
Yeah, I think for me, like I look at Cade and I look at it as a guy that you can build your franchise around. Where I feel like Mobley, I think is the second guy on the team. Not saying that he won't be like, won't be like a guy that you build your team around, but you can definitely use him in the offense and utilize him in many different positions, especially on defense, man. If you have a guy that you can easily just switch onto, or even if it's just a quick, like I'm gonna be there for a second, and then as soon as I can quickly go back to my man. Like I think that's where the versatility of Mobley will be, and that's why I think the Cavaliers are kind of in this sort of like weird, successful, I would say team when it really shouldn't work. But I do think that there is something to be said about this Cavaliers team at the moment. Again, they're the 4th seed right now. They're 8-5. They've kind of had the start before. But I do think that Mobley does have a bright, definitely has a bright future in this league, and kind of, allows a guy like Chet Holmgren, who we just talked about, and kind of the questions that Sean brought up, does allow a guy like him to not be like, okay, Chet Holmgren's skinny, but it allows teams to be like, okay, he's skinny, but he is very versatile. Um, and then let's see here. Yeah, there's a high quality on both sides in the game. It wasn't right until Mobley started playing there. The guy's been asked for years. He's been transferring there instantly. Don't doubt it, my boy. Hey, man, I'm not doubting it. I think that the Cavaliers are in a very interesting situation. Again, I think Garland is going to be better than Sexton, and that's just my opinion. I think Garland to me has that type of game that is very versatile, where Sexton, I'm not so sure. I think the Cavaliers could do with or without him. But they're obviously succeeding with him at the current moment. Sean, you said Mobley and Chet have such similar games. Kind of crazy, but Chet is better passer and shooter, in my opinion. I do
Chet is
believe
nice.
Chet
That young
is
kid is nice.
Chet is nice, and I do want to talk about Chet and Paolo Banchero. I think both those guys are going to be so freaking. I think it's going to be a tight race, Sean and Pete and Tyrese as well. I think it's going to be a tight race for who's the number one pick in the draft next year.
It's gonna be Chet, like just because of the hype. Gonzaga, they're gonna go far. He's this kid's been hyped up since I can remember. He's gonna be the number one pick.
Yeah, man. I think it's going to be closer than people think. Like
What do you?
I
What,
think these two guys, like they're so, like you said, I think Chet plays a little bit more of that like long, athletic, kind of like you said, like a Mobley-esque type of player. Paulo to me reminds me of like, who's he remind me of? Almost kind of like a mixture of. He kind of has some Julius Randle in his game, but like with kind of like the game of like, with like the shooting ability of like a Carmelo. Like it's
Mhm.
like it's a very like interesting matchup. Like I thought he was going to be more like Amari Stoudemire, but I think he could actually be a little bit better than Amari was.
Yeah. Um,
His
sorry, what
his
were you saying? I was watching.
It's okay. Sean, his passing is good, man. Like you have to watch some of the game that he played the other night. He has some good passing vision. Not saying that he's going to be like this outstanding passer, but he is definitely a very, very capable passer. Like I'm not saying that he's like A plus, but I'm saying that he's at least a B plus in his passing. Where I believe Chet is, maybe an A minus, um, to some
What
extent.
do you
But
think about Imani Bates? Do you think he can climb the ranks?
I can't remember if Amani Bates is in this draft class or is in the next class. I know he reclassified, but I need to see where Amani Bates is.
Well, he's at Memphis right now.
Okay, so he's official. Okay, I just don't know if he's going to be eligible to be in the draft, but he did drop 17 in his debut. I'll have to watch.
He's 18, isn't he?
He's 17 at the current moment. And I think you have
Oh,
to
I'm pretty
be.
sure he'll be 18 by next year.
I think he needs to be 19 by the time the draft comes around, or something like that.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, so I think he has to wait another year. But I think this is a good. I think Penny Hardaway is doing a great job at Memphis, and I think that by having Amani Bates there a year early to work on him, I think it'll be a very good. I think it'll be a good
Oh
thing
yeah.
for him.
That's he's already ahead of the ball right there. He's ahead because
Yeah,
there's not a lot of 17-year-olds at the collegiate level 1 year early, Um,
yeah.
and then he might even go to the G because or do you have to be 19 in the G League too, right?
No, you don't have to be 19 in the G League. I think. Maybe you do have to. No, you have to. I think you have to be 18 in the G League. Again,
Okay.
I
So
just.
yeah, I wouldn't be
The,
shocked if he goes to the G League after this year, since he's not eligible for the draft,
mm-hmm.
and he can get a pretty big salary there too, instead of being at Memphis.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm curious to see how he's going to perform. I know that the measurements at, I think, what was it, like a Memphis Pro Day or something like that? Or maybe it was some other Pro Day. I don't remember what it was. And I know there was like a lot of like cause for pause. Um, but I think they'll be fine. I think it'll be okay. I mean, again, I think that a lot of people compared him to Kevin Durant. I know that that was kind of one of the players that was actually highlighted in that. Chet Holmgren, like it was like an ESPN high school game between Chet Holmgren and Amani
Hmm.
Bates. I still think Amani Bates will be a solid player in the league. Um, but again, I need to see how he does against like different competition.
Yeah. Um, we'll see, man. Like, I think they play Kentucky, right? Because they're in the SEC, correct?
I believe Memphis is SEC. Are they SEC? I don't remember if they're
I
SEC or not.
think they are. I think they're SEC. If
Let me,
they are and they play Kentucky and he balls out, oh God, he's uh he's gonna be on some like KG type level, like 17, barely in college, already in college, I should say. And if he drops 30 on Kentucky at 17, he's gonna be like everybody's gonna be waiting for him when he's eligible, and not just them, other great teams in the SEC as well.
mm-hmm,
I think he's gonna probably be a generational talent. Imani Bates is, in my opinion. He just has that fiery edge, and he has like that Kevin Durant type pull up. Like he'll just pull up in your face. I've seen some highlights of him, man. This kid will just pull up in your face and drain it. Like his little, he just reminds me of KD, man. Like I don't
mm-hmm.
know. He's very good, man. He's
Let's see.
very good.
He's definitely very good. I think he obviously led the team in his game against Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles. Obviously, it's Tennessee Tech. They don't necessarily have the best players in the world, but I still think that's impressive to score 17 in your first game, even as a young 17-year-old. Right, 17. We're not even talking like 18 or 19. He's a 17-year-old coming into
Yeah.
the game, and you're wondering like, what can he do? But again, I need to see the Memphis Tigers. They're ranked 12th in the nation, so that's a very
Yeah.
interesting rank. Their next like big test I feel like is either going to be St. Louis University or they're going to be playing Western Kentucky, which I think is a great matchup. They play some pretty. I need to see their full schedule. I would love. Let me see who they play.
Okay.
So they play Western Kentucky, Virginia Tech, Georgia, Ole Miss, Murray State. They play Alabama. They play Tennessee. Okay, some pretty decent competition. They play Houston, which I like.
Yeah, Houston's good. Yeah.
Houston's usually a top team in their conference. I think they're in the same
No
conference actually.
Kentucky.
No Kentucky, but they do play against Alabama, who is a pretty tough matchup. That
Great
coach
defensive team.
great defensive team, great shooting team, and Tennessee, which is hit or miss for me when it pertains to it. But again, we'll see what happens. I think Amani Bates is a very interesting player, and like I said, he's gonna basically have 2 years of eligibility or 2 years in Memphis, and I think that'll be a good thing for him to have those 2 years. Let's see here. Let's see if I missed anything. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. What's up, Justin? Happy Friday. Hopefully your your Bulls don't get suspended for a couple games because of this next story we're going to talk about after we talk about some more questions. Sean, you said, Bernie, look at that. The Wizards run the East. Did the Wizards just
Yeah.
they just win their game or something?
No. Well, I think they're first in the East, correct?
Oh yeah, they are first. It's on my screen. They're first in the East
Yeah.
at 8-3. They're tied with the Bulls. You
Yeah.
know, no, what were you gonna say, Justin? Oh, sorry, Tyrese. Man, it's been a long
No,
day.
I was just gonna say, yeah, it's pretty crazy how they are. They've been squeaking by because it's
Yeah,
like, damn. At one time, I think they were like the fourth, and then they climbed all the way up to first.
yeah, man.
I think they're like tied.
I don't think Rui's even played for them yet, which is gonna be scary when he does play for them. I don't think he's played for them
You
yet.
said who?
Rui, maybe he has played for them.
Oh yeah, he
No,
hasn't even played.
yeah, Rui hasn't even played yet, but this team is definitely you know, beat the
Montrez, Kyle Kuzma.
Coos.
Yeah, he came up clutch for him too. I think he had a clutch three for him like a few nights ago.
He did. That he did.